Now we're starting the 10th and final topic area in this general psychology class, abnormal psychology or psychopathology. And we'll begin with a very brief history of the treatment of the mentally ill. Until the 18th century, the majority of Europeans believed that evil spirits were the cause of abnormal behavior or deviancy, and they used a variety of techniques to try to drive the evil spirits out of the body. Occasionally throughout history, some have argued that mental illness is caused by the same factors as other diseases, not that those causes were well understood. For instance, Hippocrates, who is considered the father of modern medicine, believed that mental illness was caused by an imbalance among the four humors of the human body: blood, black bile, yellow bile, and phlegm. For instance, an excess of phlegm would make you slow moving and phlegmatic. An excess of blood might cause you to be highly excitable. An excess of black bile might result in someone being melancholy or excessively sad, or irritability might be caused by an excess of yellow bile. Of course, today we know that there are no four humors in the human body that play a role in the development of mental illness. During the 16th century, Johann Wehr said that many, if not all, witches were sick mentally, physically, or both. And he argued that the witch hunts that were prevalent during his time were barbaric and should not be perpetuated by the church and the government. Benjamin Rush was a physician in the United States during the early 19th century who worked with mentally ill patients. He had several procedures that he used with his patients that seemed to alleviate their symptoms. For instance, he would engage in extreme bloodletting, removing blood from his patients' bodies, and it appeared to work because they were more docile, they were more well behaved. It seemed that their symptoms were alleviated. Another procedure that Benjamin Rush used was to place his mentally ill patients in coffin-like boxes with holes drilled through the top of the box. And then he would lower them into water and let them stay there until the bubbles stopped rising through the holes of the box. Then he would bring them up and take them out of the box and make sure they were still okay. And again, it appeared that this was a cure for mental illness because his patients were, again, more docile and much easier to handle. An important figure in the movement for the humane treatment of the mentally ill was Philippe Pinel, who was put in charge of the mental asylum La Bicêtre in Paris in 1793. Now, Philippe Pinel believed that the mentally ill are people just like you or me who are disturbed by severe personal and social problems, and therefore they should be treated with compassion and understanding and with dignity. Before Philippe Pinel's time there, the mentally ill patients were treated as if they were animals. They would be kept in chains, sometimes for days, weeks, or longer. It was thought that it didn't matter what you fed them, then they were fed unpalatable foods. So Philippe Pinel made a huge change in the treatment of the mentally ill. He's credited with removing the chains from the patients at La Bicêtre. Now, there was quite a bit of criticism of his plans to do this, to allow the mentally ill patients to basically walk around the grounds unchained. But he did it anyway. And he found that quite often his patients were much easier to take care of, and that it did not result in absolute chaos.